The American Civil War, fought between 1861 and 1865, stands as a defining moment in the history of the United States. This conflict was not just a battle between the northern states, the Union, and the southern states, the Confederacy. It was a clash of fundamental values, economic systems, and political ideologies. The war's origins lie deep within the contrasting ways of life and beliefs held by the North and South, rooted in their distinct economic structures and social norms. As the nation grappled with these differences, the seeds of discontent grew, leading to a brutal and transformative conflict. Understanding the economic disparities, the reasons behind the South's secession, and the early battles provides crucial insight into the forces that shaped this pivotal period in American history. The economic divide between the North and the South was one of the most significant factors leading to the Civil War. The North's economy was characterized by rapid industrialization, which fostered a diverse and dynamic economic landscape. Factories, railroads, and urban centers were the hallmarks of northern states, creating a robust infrastructure that supported commerce, innovation, and a growing population. By the mid-19th century, the North had developed a wide range of industries, including textiles, iron production, and coal mining. This economic diversity contributed to the North's relative wealth and enabled it to maintain a strong military and logistical network, crucial for the war effort. In stark contrast, the Southern economy remained predominantly agrarian, heavily reliant on the cultivation of cash crops such as cotton, tobacco, and rice. The plantation system, which formed the backbone of the Southern economy, depended on the institution of slavery. Enslaved African Americans were essential to the production of these cash crops, providing the labor that sustained the Southern way of life. Unlike the North, the South's economy was less diversified, with limited industrial resources and a smaller infrastructure network. This reliance on agriculture made the South vulnerable to fluctuations in crop prices and external trade disruptions, which would prove to be a significant disadvantage during the war. These economic disparities also influenced social and political attitudes. The North's industrial economy promoted a wage labor system, encouraging urbanization and attracting immigrants who provided a steady labor force. This contributed to a more diverse and dynamic society, which in turn supported progressive social movements such as abolitionism. In contrast, the South's rural, plantation-based economy was deeply entrenched in a social hierarchy that relied on slavery. The defense of this system became a central issue for the Southern states, leading to a rigid adherence to traditional values and resistance to change. The reasons behind the Southern states' decision to secede from the Union were complex and multifaceted, deeply intertwined with issues of slavery and states' rights. At the heart of the conflict was the institution of slavery, which the Southern states viewed as essential to their economic model and social structure. The abolitionist movement in the North, which sought to end slavery, was seen as a direct threat to the Southern way of life. The election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860, who was opposed to the expansion of slavery into new territories, was the catalyst for secession. Southern leaders feared that Lincoln's presidency would lead to the ultimate abolition of slavery, undermining their economy and social hierarchy. The principle of states' rights was another critical factor driving secession. Many Southerners believed in a strict interpretation of the Constitution, which they argued granted states the right to govern themselves and make their own decisions about issues like slavery. They felt that the federal government was overstepping its bounds and infringing on their rights. This belief in states' rights was a cornerstone of the Southern political ideology, reinforcing their desire for independence from what they perceived as an overreaching federal authority. Economic pressures also played a significant role in the decision to secede. The South's economy was heavily dependent on agriculture and foreign markets for cotton exports. Southern leaders feared that Northern policies and tariffs would harm their economic interests and undermine their agricultural dominance. The North's industrial economy and political power were seen as threats to the Southern way of life, prompting a desire to protect their economic model and maintain their social order. The culmination of these issues led to the secession of several Southern states, starting with South Carolina in December 1860. Other states quickly followed, and they formed the Confederate States of America, with Jefferson Davis as its president. This marked the official split from the Union and set the stage for the Civil War. The first major battle of the American Civil War took place at Fort Sumter, located in Charleston Harbor, South Carolina. This engagement was not just a military confrontation, but a symbolic clash that marked the beginning of hostilities between the North and the South. Fort Sumter, a federal stronghold, was situated in a strategic location, and its presence was a point of contention between the Union and the Confederacy. As tensions mounted, Confederate forces, led by Brigadier General P.G.D. Beauregard, demanded the fort's surrender. Union Major Robert Anderson, stationed at Fort Sumter, refused to surrender, setting the stage for conflict. On April 12, 1861, Confederate forces opened fire on Fort Sumter, initiating a 34-hour bombardment. Despite the intensity of the attack, Union troops were not seriously harmed, but they faced dwindling supplies and an untenable position. Major Anderson and his men valiantly defended the fort, but they were ultimately forced to surrender on April 13. The fall of Fort Sumter galvanized both the North and the South, marking the official start of the Civil War. President Lincoln's call for troops to suppress the rebellion further escalated the conflict, leading to more states joining the Confederacy and setting the stage for a prolonged and bloody war. Fort Sumter had profound implications. It united the northern states in the cause of preserving the Union, while in the South it was seen as a heroic defense of Southern rights and sovereignty. The attack ignited passions on both sides, leading to a surge of enlistments and the rapid mobilization of forces. The fall of Fort Sumter symbolized the beginning of a conflict that would redefine the nation, testing the limits of democracy and the resilience of the American spirit. The American Civil War was ignited by deep-seated economic, social, and political divisions. The economic disparities between the industrial North and agrarian South, combined with conflicting views on slavery and states' rights, created an environment ripe for conflict. The first major battle at Fort Sumter symbolized the start of a war that would redefine the nation. Understanding these elements provides crucial context to the war's progression and its enduring impact on American history. The Civil War not only determined the fate of the Union, but also set the stage for significant social and political changes that would shape the future of the United States.